Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome. We are back. We are back. We are back again. It's your boy JB back at it again with African Fighters Podcast. I know it's been a while. It's been a while. Me and Dems were here to chop it up. I personally had a trip to Nigeria, which we would get into it about my experiences. It has something to do with combat sports. But it was quite an experience, and I'll get into it a bit later in the show. And my boy King Dems here. King Dems has been dropping episodes for his King Dems podcast back to back. Please, if you are not subscribed or following King Dems, please do so. Very, very interesting conversations out there. So many life lessons, so many life stories. Yeah, it's a very good listen. What's up, King Dems? How you doing, brother?
Wow, I'm doing great. I can't complain. It's been a while, but then I'm glad to be back. And of course, we're back with a bang.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are joining us, please, I beg you, hit the like button. Hit the like button. That does quite a lot for us. We really, really appreciate it. The goal for this episode is 20 likes. Just 20. That's a big deal for us. All right. Quite a lot to get into. When I was off in Nigeria, there were quite a few things that had happened in the space of MMA and boxing, and of course we have to backdate and talk about them. I know the buzz and the excitement for the announcement of Israel versus Dricus has died down a bit, but I promise you there are some nice talking points in there, and who best for me to talk about this with than the president of Israel Adesanya fan club. Here live and direct, we've got King Dems. Before I get into it, I'm just going to highlight the topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Usman potentially fighting either Ian Garry or Shavkat Rakhmanov. We're going to talk about Don Madge in the playoff semis of PFL. What are we going to talk about? We're going to do some fantasy matchmaking today. We are also going to talk about UFC Africa. It's quite a lot of interesting conversations. I will try as much as I can not to stay for too long here, not to bore you guys. But King Dems, how has it been that we have not been here for 3 weeks, 4 weeks? What have you been up to?
It is you. It's not on me because the fans have been reaching out to me. Yeah, I did send you some forwarded you some messages, right, from our fans. Oh, is the podcast holding today? Somebody even reached out to me today, like, is it finally happening today? Whoa! I never knew, like, the way. What's his name? This guy that won 303.
Who? Pereira. Right? Yeah. We're going to talk about Pereira as well. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The way Pereira has become the face of the UFC, I never knew I have become the face of African fighters.
Yes. Well, King Dems has become the face of African fighters that we don't have a choice but put his face in the graphics. If you are listening to the audio pod, in the audio podcast in the form of audio, just look at the graphics in your hand right now. You would see King Dems' face with a tie. If you don't want to see King Dems wearing a tie, go over there. I asked King Dems, send me over your photo that I'm going to put on the graphics. And this dude was sending me some corporate crap. Him wearing suits like he's looking for a job. I'm like, dude, you cannot wear suits when we're going to talk about big sweaty men. So I don't understand how that correlates.
Suits, so combat sport guys. Even the guy with Queensberry, he wears suits, right?
It doesn't matter. Anyway, guys, let's just jump straight into it. We opened up about this conversation that we're gonna have on our Patreon. By the way, if you want to support the show, please join our Patreon or our YouTube membership. Pledge any amount you want to. It goes quite a long way for us to just even pay for this bloody StreamYard that we use. So we shot in some questions. We requested some questions, and Christopher Graham, fan of the show. By the way, Christopher Graham has been a member for over 1 year. So shout out Christopher Graham. I think I need to drop an audio for you, Christopher Graham. Here we go.
There's something ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the intro of the UFC, but this one is specifically for our boy Christopher Graham. Thank you, Christopher Graham, for supporting the show. It's been 1 year, a member, 12 months. It's not easy. Thank you so much for supporting us. We really, really appreciate it. It's a big deal for us. While we are at it, I'm just gonna turn off this sound. It's getting annoying at this point. While we are at it, in the comment section, we've got Temba, the answer Gorimbo. He says, bad news, no UFC Africa in the whole while, my man. Rwanda was up, but the country currently not stable, and that's the hold up. South Africa not an option, and Kenya apparently was high there. Oh, wow. So this is serious insight. Like, this is proper insight. Yes, we are going to talk about Dricus versus Izzy not happening in Africa. And the only place that it would likely happen that can do it is Rwanda, because they are pushing, I was going to say terrorism, I mean tourism. And there's Senegal as well. They've got an arena. But this one is a surprise that Kenya are really interested. Kenya, bro, I'm just trying to remember if I know any fighter from Kenya. But it doesn't matter. They'll find some locals to sign up if it's going to happen in Kenya. But we're going to talk about UFC Africa. Thank you, Themba. We've got Christopher Graham. Great to have you guys back. Thank you, Christopher Graham. We really appreciate the love and support. Harry is talking about your tie now on our office walk. All right. Yeah. Let's just jump into this UFC Africa business. As we know, Izzy versus Dricus, everybody wanted it to happen on African soil. Down there in South Africa, a lot of people were thinking it's going to happen in UFC's, in Dricus's hometown of Pretoria, I believe. And unfortunately, that's not the case. I've said this time and time again that the UFC, being a big business, UFC under the same umbrella of with the WWE, kind of have a business model now of being paid to show up. So they would not go to a city and force their way in unless they are actually like compensated in a way. It could be money, it could be logistics, it could be a venue, but yeah, they quite do that. So if a country is not ready to, obviously, if you look at Africa, it's a place where the government have other bigger problems than actually paying to host a UFC event, except for places maybe like maybe Mauritius, I guess, or Cape Verde. But that's generally the case with regards to bringing in investors in this sports space. Anyways, Dricus versus Izzy is going to happen in South Africa, I believe. In Australia, Perth, Australia, I believe. That is UFC 30. Remind me, Kingdoms?
305.
305. Yes, main event, Adesanya versus Dricus. We have a lot of talking points here. We're going to talk about the fight, what could potentially happen. And one thing I'm going to say just out of the gate is I noticed that the first person that broke the news was Izzy, right? And I understand that in the top of this show, you did mention that Alex Pereira is the face of the UFC, but I think it's still easy when it comes to crossing over to the main pop culture or the mainstream. I would say that Alex Pereira has been the biggest star that the UFC has ever had that doesn't speak English. He doesn't speak a word of English, but he has become such a big deal. The only word he says is Shama, and he doesn't care about flying. He goes to literally every show, and he's got this emoji going on, cold face, and he says what? Shama. Anyways, yeah. It's a
grunting for me. It's a grunting.
Yeah. And he has something going on with that girl from UFC Media, Nina. They've got this like synergy going on that you could tell that those two are boinking, but I don't really know. I'm not putting rumors out there, but it kind of looks like that. There was actually a time where there was a rumor about his ex-wife, and he separated with his ex-wife. There was like a big drama in the like Brazilian culture and Brazilian media space. You probably go look that up. It was a big debacle. It was really a messy breakup according to that. I can't
Yeah,
remember the details right
about
now,
that.
but that happened. But but as I was saying, I was very impressed that Izzy was the first person to break the news. Even though he's the challenger here, he was the first person to break the news. That talks about him controlling his own news outlets and all that. We know he's got a big platform on his YouTube channel, and now
Fast.
now he is the one announcing his fights, even though there's a champion there. Even though there was a time that the UFC fans or whatever Dana said something that made Dricus look not really good, apparently, which sounded like Dricus was avoiding a fight, and Dricus tweeted out that he accepted the opponent and the location. It's not on him. So that means that he already accepted, that probably had signed, but he couldn't make an announcement. He had to wait for Israel to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to fight,
No,
even though he's the challenger. Yeah.
he had to wait for Dana White and UFC to release it, right? But Israel, I don't know, he released it, and there was a reporter that was asking Dana White, right, live, asking him, okay, he just says he's fighting Dricus, and Dana White was like, he said so. And yeah, can you confirm it? And Dana White said, yes, it's true. Yeah. Well, I guess he has released his own fight news.
Yeah. So that's
Israel was scared.
not.
He was very
Yeah.
hit.
Well, who are we kidding? We know between Izzy and Dricus, we know that Izzy is the bigger star, right? But
Yes, bro. Yes, bro.
what are your thoughts generally about this fight announcement?
About the fight announcement. Yeah, I'm really, really thrilled about the fact that Israel controls his own narrative, right? And Israel is beginning to demonstrate or show that, Conor McGregor privilege. Because apparently, why would have been pissed if it was some other person, announcing, the news. You see how they have to be confidential about the news until the UFC announces it. But then, White could not. He could not get angry because apparently Easy is their cash cow, right? So when you're talking about the biggest stars in the UFC, I think after Conor McGregor is easily Israel Adesanya.
Hold up. Sorry. There's a development here in our live chat, and I'm reading it now. Temba said, no, Senegal. I was really surprised. It's not about the fighters from there. Africa is Africa from what they look at. I got this info from high up. Okay. Now, I told you, this is very, very reliable information. And then he says, South Africa is seen as a very dangerous place to go. They want to go to a country that is peaceful and stable. I kind of understand, but obviously it's not everywhere in South Africa that is chaotic, but I get it. And Christopher Graham made a request. Can we get Themba as a guest to discuss the locations of UFC Africa? I know Themba would like to have this discussion, but I don't think he would want to have it in front of the cameras. Yeah. Yeah,
Whoa.
I know Themba is open to talking about this. He's passionate about UFC Africa as much as more than we are actually, but I don't think he want to talk about it in front of a camera. But if Themba, if you are open to talk about this and maybe you are free now, you've got some time, we could send you the link now. Just let me know in the chat now, and then I'll send you a link on Instagram. Yeah. So let's get back to this Izzy and Dricus thing. Let's jump into predictions, okay? I know that you on your deathbed they say Dricus. If they say Izzy is fighting Francis Ngannou, you will say Israel will beat Francis Ngannou. Right?
Israel versus King Kong.
You-
5 pounds. So my answer.
So I'm not going to stress myself with asking for your prediction. But the prediction I want to hear from you then says, how does Izzy do it?
To be honest, right, I think Easy picks him apart because Dricus is quite aggressive, right, and then he's that pressure fighter. He wants to mount the pressure on you. And I know that with what Easy learns from the Sean Strickland fight, he would have gone to improve his game, right? So when you are very aggressive, it makes it easy for a sniper to pick your apart. We saw what Easy did to Robert Whittaker in the first fight, right? So I feel like the fight is going to be emotionally charged, and then Dricus is going to be coming, to ram in on Izzy like a raging bull. Well, it is what it is. It's gonna be. I don't see it in full distance.
Oh
Maybe
wow,
max
okay.
third round.
Oh
Third round
wow.
K.
Oh, okay. So my thing is, I agree with most of the things you are saying, but I also have a counter argument with this. Dricus has been on a winning streak for a long time. And everybody that thinks that they figured him out before they fight, they find out the hard way, right? He is very, very intelligent. Like, he's very smart and knows how to mix it up. A lot of people would not even tell, is he a grappler or is he a striker? He's very complete, right? So, I know that looking at Izzy's fight, I don't think he's going to come because we know his style. He does this short blitz quite a lot. You know what a blitz is like? He just for a second he does that blitz. He does it so many times and he gets knockouts from it as well. So I know those blitz don't work on Izzy. Izzy knows how to like counter those things very well from his days in kickboxing. Obviously, Dricus was also a kickboxer, but I feel like he's probably gonna have an awkward strategy. Like if you look at Izzy that fought Sean Strickland, I feel like
100% Izzy. So.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I kind of feel like maybe in Izzy's head he feels like that fight is a dud because recently we saw videos of him. He couldn't even do a push-up in the open workouts for that Sean Strickland fight. He wasn't himself. If you go back and rewatch that fight from the third round, Izzy was coasting the fight, even though he was losing on the scorecards. He was like, I just want this thing to get to the distance. I just don't want to get knocked out. That's what the fight looked like. Like his body language and the way he was keeping distance. He was circling all the time, he was looking at the clock, trying to get that fight to just get to unanimous decision. And obviously he knows he's going to lose the title. So I kind of see that as a dud. So I'm not going to make a judgment with him that he has probably healed up now with whatever he was going through. I wouldn't put that as like a judgment. I'm going to look at this of the Izzy of the old and the skill set he has of striking and breaking down fighters. I think this fight would be a 5-rounder and Izzy would win it on points. I think it will be very, very close. I absolutely don't see Dricus catching him because I think Izzy will be very quick. I don't see Dricus catching him because these days I question Izzy's chin quite a lot, mostly because of the wear and tear from his long career of fighting. So I think it's not going to be that exciting of a fight. I think it's going to be one of those Marvin Vettori versus Izzy type of fight. I think Izzy will win it by decision. That's what my predictions are.
The most boring fight ever in the UFC involved Izzy actually, and that was Izzy versus Romero.
Yeah, that was because Romero didn't want to dance. We've got another question from our boy Christopher Graham. He says, if Izzy beats Dricus, is Izzy versus Alex 3 for the light heavyweight title the next fight to make? I've said this so many times. As an Izzy fan, we are done with Pereira. Pereira now knocking people out is only going to make us appreciate the way Izzy knocked him out. Now, as Pereira is knocking people out, we are only going to appreciate more of how good Izzy is. Because if you look at it, forget the knockouts that Pereira had and the one that Izzy had. In their 2 fights in the UFC, Pereira did not win a single round. As much as I can remember. I cannot remember Pereira winning any round except for the knockouts that he had in the 5th, in their first fight. Because every time... Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter if it was an early stoppage, but Izzy has won most of the rounds, or all of the rounds, and then he also has a knockout against Pereira. And nobody has done that with Pereira since Pereira went on this run. It's like... Again, Pereira continue on this tier. 8 fights in the UFC, already 2 times two division champion, already defended his title twice, already conversations about him jumping into heavyweight, and I think he can actually scrap with those heavyweights. Bro, for Izzy to knock him out like that, crazy, man. Crazy.
It just goes to how great it is.
But that doesn't mean that I want to see it again. I really don't want to see Izzy versus Pereira again. I think we should just leave it like that. With that knockout, the last fight they had, he knocked him out, and then he had the iconic celebration of the bow and arrow. I think that would do best for Izzy's legacy, and Izzy is smart enough not to fight Pereira again. Mostly because this body size, bro. Izzy is a much smaller guy than Pereira. Like, their working weights and their power is not the same, right? So if you would ask me before that fight, I never thought Izzy would ever knock out Pereira. I just think Izzy will win by points, but he did what he did. However, I am not interested in seeing that. If Izzy beats Dricus, I don't think he's gonna give Dricus a rematch. I think he wants to fight Sean Strickland. Yeah. So he puts a damp on it. And maybe if he has only one fight, this might be controversial, one fight left in his career, if that's what he wants to do, him and Usman just do a retirement fight for the middleweight title. Izzy versus...
No way that is happening, because he said it himself, I am coming for the heads, and he has openly said it that he wants that fight against Sean Strickland back. So he just wants to prove a point.
Yeah, it's like in the chat, people want to talk about UFC Africa. We've got Jesse Dunaway say, I wouldn't mind seeing UFC event in Rwanda, because as of right now, they've rated the safest country in Africa, which for Rwanda, it would be historical to have a UFC event there. Yeah, Rwanda has been hosting NBA, BAL, Africa basketball. They've been doing so many concerts in their beautiful Kigali arena. So I think this could be something they would want to do. But again, as Themba said, feels like the conversation between the UFC and Rwandan tourism or government or whatever has fallen off. So there's quite an issue there. And Themba, I told you guys, Themba wouldn't want to talk about this on camera. It's not really a good idea, to be honest. Yeah, because the person that told Themba this information, if he sees Themba talking about it on camera, he's not going to tell him anything anymore. Yeah. All right. Now, this question by Christopher Graham, yeah? He said, if UFC Africa turns out to be a fight night, which I think it would be, reason why is because the amount of money that the Saudis gave the UFC, right? And the amount of business that Saudi can do with the UFC, and the UFC not giving them a pay-per-view, but a fight night, that tells you that Africa is not going to get a pay-per-view if they come. It's going to be a fight night. Another thing can be in play, like maybe the Saudis said, oh, we want a UFC event and we want it in 2024. And the UFC be like, oh, well, all our pay-per-views, we've already booked them up for like the next 15 months or 20 months or something. And then the Saudis will be like, okay, give us a fight night. Maybe that's the only reason why, because I don't see why the amount of money they are getting, they are not giving them a pay-per-view, most especially because their fight night was almost built like a pay-per-view. Anyway, I think the UFC Africa will be a fight night. Now, the question by Christopher Graham is, who should headline? I don't want to sound biased. Not necessarily biased. Themba is here. We've had this discussion with Themba. Themba wants this. Like, give a Hollywood writer the script of Themba's story, right? All his journey to the UFC and who he is today. We saw Themba yesterday in a meet and greet on his own podium, which is incredible to see. Like, all his journey.
I love the energy.
Yeah, all Themba's journey. The world. Yeah, like all Themba's journey. If Themba's journey ends now, like if his story, let's say this is the highest pinnacle of his story, being a UFC fighter, like that's an incredible story. That's a feel-good ending for any Hollywood movie. But then if the African boy now takes the UFC to Africa for the first time and headline the event, the media department of the UFC and the documentaries and those documentary style WWE style content they make, if they make one around Temba and his family, because I'm sure they would go film him back home in his village. If they make one about Temba, we will cry. I'm sure. I'm sure. There's this thing called Seven Box. Seven Box is doing the Rock Johnson's film company. They do blockbuster movies as well right now. Like if seven Box would want to be on board to actually do a documentary. Temba is here. I know he doesn't want to talk about things with regards to his deal with those guys, but I'm pretty sure they might have something about making content around him. They probably have had a discussion with him, but I'm sure those guys in Seven Box doing the Rock Johnson people, they are not stupid. This is like a diamond for them. No pun intended. Temba is from Zimbabwe, but this is a diamond for them to like kind of like make it shine, if you get what I mean. So all this one I'm saying is that this is justification that Temba needs, if it's a fight night, Temba needs to headline it. Not needs to. He's the only person. Who else? Usman is no longer a fight. Usman is not a fight night fighter anymore. Izzy is not a fight night fighter anymore. Dricus is a champion. Maybe if Dricus is no longer a champion, then he can headline. Well, but it's not really a good look, is it? But anyways, who else? Who else we have that is like, I don't want to say use the word original African because it's unfair to like our diasporan Africans.
African.
Yeah. So, but then an African, you get what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not taking it seriously, anyways. But then, if not Themba, because I top of my head, right? My head went to Themba, but we also have some guys in the featherweights, right? Possibly have an all African affair, maybe something like David Onama versus Super Sonic Yusuf. How about?
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, that might be a good one. But look, I think Sadiq is out of the rankings now, is he? I'm not sure. I think the last time he lost his fight, he lost to an unranked opponent, and he was like 14 or 13. Yeah. So I think if he's not unranked, he probably is like 15 now. David Onama, he's definitely on the rise. But come on. Come on, man. If David Onama opens his mouth and talk, you would think he's an American. You understand? It's not like, well, if Temba opens his mouth and talk, you would think he's something out of Simba, the Lion King. So, my brother, I like that you have another idea, but think about it, man. Look, we've got who? We've got that South African boy that trains with Dricus, Cameron Simon. He's currently on a 2-fight losing streak. He cannot headline a fight night. Who else do we have? We've got Kennedy Nzechukwu. He's currently on a losing streak as well. He's a true African. Oh my God, see, guys, I'm sorry. I'm not going to use that. I don't like saying true African or real African. Everybody is African. I beg. I don't want to start wahala. Yeah. But you get what I'm talking about. But there's a wrong answer. And the wrong answer is anybody but Temba. Anyways, that's for me. All right, you want to talk about Pereira last night, Alex Pereira?
Whoa.
Chama. I beg, what's in be Chama? Na Chama been a Chama.
It means let's go. It's Chama. It means let's go in Portuguese. Chama. Yeah. Chama.
Yeah. How do you feel when you are seeing Alex Perriera become the star that he is, all these performances that he's putting in? Does it break your heart that he's getting this shine?
I would say for me, naturally, I'm not a hater at heart, right? So for me, even if I do not like you as a human being, I'm not the kind of person that will not wish you well. And even if I do not like you as a person, right, I would always be objective enough to give you your flowers, to give you your praise, anytime it is well deserved. So for me, I'm happy for him. His story is incredible. His story is really, really incredible. If he actually spoke English, I would have loved to have him on my podcast, right? Because that is what I live for. That is what I stand for, right? So that being said, it's incredible. But for me, I just feel like it just makes Izzy look like a brighter star. Like the more he shines, the more he bleeds through all opposition on his way. It just makes us realize that Izzy is actually extremely good. For him to have
but
that much.
That performance yesterday, right? I watched that fight and I was thinking like, at no point, Jiri Prozhaska is a dangerous fighter. We saw
Very
him
big.
time and
He never posed a single threat.
at no point did I feel like, oh, it's like, you remember when Usman was dominating everybody. You know, when Usman fights, it's almost like it's crazy for you to think that Usman will get hurt in a fight. That's why when that headshot, that's why when that Leon Edwards kicked him in the head, that's why the whole world was like, what? If you remember, there was a camera shot that panned to all the fighters that were starting ringside. Everybody in the back of the fighters were jubilating, but the fighters were more like, and you could see the shock and the sadness in their faces because the person that is in there, I never thought. So that's the same feeling I have with Pereira when he fights now. I don't see any threat for him, me that is being sat here. And to be honest, it's kind of difficult for me because I'm sort of like a hater for Pereira. I actually want to see him. I actually want to see him lose at least once, because every time he wins, there's this annoying conversation from MMA casuals like myself, but the other side of the casuals, that talk about, oh, Pereira is the GOAT. Comparing Pereira to John Jones. You understand? The disrespect is so annoying. Do you understand why I mean?
Dana White was angry.
Well, that's Dana White, but like, it's more like, I want to say LeBron versus MJ. LeBron versus MJ, it gets me annoyed too, right? But this is ridiculous. It's like MJ versus Kobe. If you watch basketball, you know it's not comparable. Not even Kobe. MJ versus Iverson, maybe. So it annoys me. That's why I want them to kind of like blip him, but he keeps on putting these performances. Like yesterday, he was so incredible. Like look at that first round, yeah? He had this lazy looking left hook that knocked down Jiri, and Jiri couldn't even walk. He stood up and he was staggered. They got back in the second round. Just a few seconds in, the first strike was a bloody head kick. Like, it wasn't a good look because Jiri was trying to stand and walk. They were letting him walk. I didn't like to see that. It wasn't really good to see. But it was incredible, man. It was incredible. That's why we love this sports, man.
Do you think Ankalaev stands a chance?
Yes, I think so. I think not even Ankalaev. I think Jiri, what's the name of the former champion from Poland, legendary Polish power.
Jan Blachowicz.
Blachowicz. I think Blachowicz has a very good chance against Pereira as well.
Their fight was very close.
Yeah. I think Blachowicz. I think Ankalaev can drag it to a 5-round fight and take it. But as a UFC casual that I am, MMA casual that I am, I think the UFC, and me included, wouldn't want Ankalaev as a champion. We would rather have Pereira as a champion because of the drawing power. Ankalaev cannot draw anybody. So
how about Blachowicz?
How
about
Blachowicz is a bit better than Ankalaev when it comes to drawing, but because you know those Eastern Europeans, they will flood everything. But still, for business wise, in the UFC light heavyweight, it got to be Jamal Hill or Pereira right now. I think those are the guys. Who else is there, Seth? Who else?
There is okay. In the top 5, you have Jiri, you have Jan Blachowicz, you have Ankalaev, you have okay. Looking at the top 10, before you had the possibility of Anthony Smith, but Anthony Smith has lost that. Now you have Roman Dolidze taking Anthony Smith's place in the top 10. You have Ozdemir. You have quite a number of guys in the top 10.
Yo, Temba is having one of those moments. He's manifesting something. And
wow. I have been rooting for this fight for a while.
Temba says, I am going to fight soon. UFC Abu Dhabi on short notice. Entering the top 15. Caught a promo. My first UFC live event was in Abu Dhabi in the nosebleeds. Now I made Luke a nosebleed. Remember who said that?
Easy.
Yeah.
I used to be the nosebleeds, but now I make his nose bleed.
Yeah. Who was it? Who was it that he fought? Was it
It's
that? Was it that?
Rogrog.
Is that Whittaker fight? Yeah. I swear. Just as Temba is manifesting this, I swear, Izzy thought about that line before that fight happened. It didn't just come to him in his head. But again, it takes a different type of athlete to remember the things you wanted to say after going through a fight. To stay composed and remember. It's almost like football. After you score like a 95-minute screamer like Jude Bellingham scored today and equalized for England, remembering to go do your own celebration that you intended to do when it was so chaotic like that and you were overwhelmed with excitement. So, Temba, we pray and hope this actually happens, man. Wouldn't that be sick? All right.
Jibril for the light heavyweight. What do you think about Kali Roundtree's chance against Perriera?
So round 3, yeah. I feel like round 3, no disrespect, I feel like he sort of gives me Neo Magni vibes. Neo Magni in the welterweights.
I know.
Gatekeeper vibes. That's the kind of vibes he gives me. He's very, 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 very violent. He's got so much power, but oh gosh, I hate to say things like this, but I don't think he's a champion material, to be honest. Skill-wise, not that he cannot carry the title, but that's my own opinion.
But then in the light heavyweights rankings, right? At number 1, you have Jiri Prozhaska, apparently former champion. Number 2, you have Magomed Ankalaev. I don't know why they don't want to give him that title shot, right?
I told you why.
Jamal Hill is number 3. Number 4 is Jan Blachowicz. I think he needs to beat somebody in order to be able to justify it. Then you have Alexander Rakic at number 5. Rakic lost to Jiri, right? So you really can't justify giving him a title shot. You have Nikita Krylov. That Nikita Krylov, he's not fought in a long while. So it's difficult giving somebody who has been inactive, right? And at number 6. At number 7, we have Johnny Walker. And we know what happened to Johnny Walker recently, right? Number 8, we have Kali Roundtree. So he looks like the person who's on an upward, trajectory that you can skip the top 6, right? And give him that title shot. Just like what happened in the flyweights, where they gave this guy Essek the title shot. And of course, you have Volkan Ozdemir. Volkan Ozdemir, I don't really think he's commercial as such, so they might not want to. So Kali Roundtree is an American, right? And apparently the UFC is an American market. So that looks like the person in the top 10 that they might want to package and give that title shot.
Yeah, I mean, style-wise, in the cage-wise, excitement level very, very high. When he fights, he knocks people out. If he can actually, my concern with round 3 is like when he fights with we've seen it before now, right? He goes win, lose, win, lose. Like when he meets the guys at the top, again, I told you, he's like Neo Magni to me. Like he's a very good gatekeeper. He beats the up and coming guys quite easily. He's almost like a litmus test for the matchmakers. But then when he gets up there, I don't see him beating any of those guys up there. That's the problem. But in my opinion,
Oliveira used to be like that.
Yeah, fair. But in my opinion, the biggest draw, obviously Pereira. He's probably going to end up being the UFC Fighter of the Year 2024 because UFC 300 and now. Anyway, so the biggest draw, Pereira, Jamal Hill, and possibly Roundtree, to be honest. Anyways, let's move on because we've still got quite a lot to talk about. Tema say, by the way, I sparred Sean Strickland finally. I like Sean doing my next camp with them. I would like to hear more about that, Temba. I want to know if Sean Strickland is the same way we see him on TV, if that's how he is in real life, because that would be chaotic, man.
That guy.
I've got so many questions. Let's talk about. We're just going to quickly talk about Don Madge. Don Madge, South African fighter in the PFL welterweight division of the PFL Championships. Right? We saw Don Madge lose in his last fight, but he has gotten enough points to. Yeah, two days ago, he got enough points to qualify for the semifinals. In the semifinals bracket, there are 3 Russians in there, and we know how those guys are. However, Russians and wrestling, eh? However, Don Madge did say, he put out a post on Instagram talking about how he was injured. He didn't get to do quite a lot of things he wanted to do. However, he is happy that he has gotten to the playoffs. This is what he said on Instagram. Not the performance I wanted last night. Had to struggle through early injury and wasn't able to do things I wanted. Sometimes that's the way. I'm so grateful for being able to continue forward in the season and make it into semi-finals, even if it's not the way I wanted. Well, yeah, there's still 100 million up for grabs for you, Don Madge.
Is it 100 million or 1 million?
Oh crap, 1 million. Sorry. 100 million. Myself, I go turn fighter now. So so now we know that at welterweight, Magomed Umlatov, 16-0, locked up the second seed with a first round submission of Brennan Ward. He will face Don Madge. Oh boy, Don Madge is going to fight Magomed Umalatov, who is 16-0, and in his last fight, in his last fight, he had a submission. Eesh, Don Madge got to train a lot of wrestling, wouldn't he? So yes,
Mago, I don't bother to read the remaining of the name. I'm like, oh, sorry, can you just pass?
And then when they have the beards and they've shaved the mustache, that's worse. Or maybe when they have curly ear, you are in trouble. Anyways, shout out to Don Madge. His last fight before this one, I think there was a death in his family that he was going through. Since he left the UFC, he has been tearing it up. Love to see that he's one of the only African representations. However, our boy Impa Kasanganai is leading in the light heavyweight division. And we've got Sadibusi making a comeback as well in the light heavyweight division. So there might be a chance that we see Sadibusi versus Impa Kasanganai, which I am all for.
African.
Yeah, an all-African affair. Let's go. So next one. This is one that people probably did not know about. According to Christopher Graham, question, what are Impa's chances? Sorry, no. What are Rogrog's chances against Malykhin for the one heavyweight title? Anatoli. So if you don't know Anatoli, Anatoli is the only fighter in MMA that is a 3-division champion. Bro has swept 3 divisions and he's holding them at the same time. Tell me how savage that is. And for this event, PFL are going to the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. It's like one of their biggest American showings. So they are taking it like proper NBA arena to do this one. And in the main event is our boy Rogrog. If you don't know Rogrog is a Senegalese wrestler. He is a mountain of a man. Looks like all his body is muscle and power, and he's got a lot of strength. So Anatoli, he made some statements about Rogrog, and it sounds like he is rubbishing the challenge from Rogrog. We know that Rogrog is not a polished MMA fighter. We know that Rogrog came from the world of loot Senegalese wrestling. And here are the things that Anatoli said about Rogrog. He said the only thing Rogrog really has going on for him is strength. Yeah, the guy is strong and his balance is not bad, but that's about it. And then he went forward and said, he's slow, can't time punches for the life of him, and his cardio sucks. 3 rounds and he's gassed. This is a 5-rounder. And he also said Rogrog usually falls apart after the first round anyways. Hands dropped, starts grabbing at opponents' gloves and shorts, kind of a dirty fighter. Really, no real threat. American fans love knockouts, right? They want a good show. Fighters going all out, leaving it all out in the cage. That's what I'm going to give them. A knockout and a goddamn fight. Wow. So, I'll put it to you. What are your, after hearing what Anatoli said about Rogrog, what do you think are the chances of Rogrog in this fight?
To be honest, right, I actually did not need to listen to what Anatoli said because, to be honest, there were no lies, spoken. I have seen, quite a number of Rogrog's fights, right? And the Senegalese luge wrestling, in my opinion, right, does not give you a very good base. It doesn't give you a very good background to transition into MMA. So that being said, there are no lies spoken. I think it's a 70-30 chance, right? Reug has a 30% chance of beating Anatoli. And I wish him well. Being my African brother, I will always, root and support for him. But being objective, it's a 70-30.
Yeah, I don't like the chances of Rogrog in this one. I don't think his striking is sharp enough to do damage to kind of catch. Because has Rogrog have any knockout victories? It's mostly mauling his opponents. Mm-hmm. And then when he takes an opponent down, he just holds on to them because, again, the lutte Senegalese and the muscle memory from grappling in lutte Senegalese does not allow you to develop that aspect of chain wrestling and switching positions to look for a submission. So that's kind of like what Anatoli is hinting at with regards to him holding the shorts and the gloves. That's because when you wrestle in lutte Senegalese, you kind of start wrestling by holding the shorts. So that's muscle memory. He's not trying to be dirty. His body is just doing what's reacting to what's going on in front of him. So, and then we know about the cardio, right? Because in Senegalese wrestling, once you scramble and then your opponent touches the ground, the fight is over. There is no continuous action that would help you develop your cardio if you're an athlete fighting in that sport. So those things are going against Rogrog. I'm sure that if there's a bookmaker, the bookmaker will obviously favor the 3-division champion. But yes, we are all for this. Wouldn't it be fantastic for Rogrog to have an incredible knockout? I guess we'd have to wait to see. All right. Let's do this fantasy booking. With Dricus and Izzy being the UFC African super fight at middleweight, which fight would be the biggest all-African superweight fight in each of the other divisions? So here are some picks. Basically, I'm just going to go through them quickly, and then you tell me if you would want to see those fights. Okay? Feel free to join in the comment section as well. All right, so in the heavyweight of MMA, we have, in the heavyweight of MMA, Francis Ngannou from Cameroon versus Rogrog from Senegal. I'm just going to add some theatrics to it.
That's the no contest.
Live at the Dakar Arena in Senegal. Rogrog versus Francis Ngannou. Who wins that fight?
Francis Ngannou every day of the week.
Yeah.
It's a no contest.
Bro, this is one of those immovable objects being hit by a powerful force. I forgot how they are saying it in Superman. All right, let's go. Next is a light heavyweight fight. Israel Adesanya versus Impa Kasanganai in light heavyweight.
Easy all day. To be interesting, bro. Yeah.
It's really interesting, isn't it? Because Impa, when he fights in light heavyweights, he's one of those short, stuffy fighters that when they get a hold of you a bit and his striking is really good as well. So he's too quick for the light heavyweights. All his fights in PFL is because of his speed that is winning them. But Izzy is a natural middleweight. Izzy, we see all those all his striking coming from a mile away.
And Izzy is fast.
Yeah, Izzy will take it. Middleweight. Israel Adesanya from Nigeria versus Dricus DuPlessis from South Africa. I think we already spoke about this. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, wow. This is an interesting one. Welterweight division. Cedric Doumbé from Cameroon versus Kamaru Usman from Nigeria.
Whoa, that's going to be a real tough fight, man.
Yeah. Cedric Doumbé.
Classic striker.
Yeah, that's it. Striker versus wrestler. Both fighters have tremendous experience when it comes to fighting. Doumbé has like incredible fight record from kickboxing. Usman obviously at some point was 15-0 in MMA, so there's a lot of like veteran knowledge there. I think Usman would likely not strike with Doumbé, so he's gonna try to wrestle. But you know me, I'm a mark for Kamaru Usman, so I'm gonna go for Kamaru Usman.
I'm gonna sit out this one.
All right. Featherweight fight. Igu Kabesa from Democratic Republic of Congo versus David Onama from Uganda. This is really interesting. Kabesa versus Onama? Shit.
Haibu.
Shit.
This one is tough. Kabesa.
So because Kabesa is the pinnacle of MMA in South Africa, he's like the best, literally. There is nobody for him to test himself with in South Africa unless he gets out of the country. But Onama has abundance of talents to test himself with in his gym, in America, and all these places. So Onama has the edge with the quality of opponents that he's had and the quality of training that he gets. So that alone gives Onama the edge against Kabesa.
So you're taking credential over potential. Then
well, I'm taking also experience and the level of talent, because like
that is credential.
Yeah,
you're taking the credential over the potential. But then Igu Kabesa has a potential. So for me, I am going potential over credential here, because we have not had the opportunity to see the potential of what Igu Kabesa can do at the global stage, right? But at the African stage, he has molded everybody. But I think if he's given that exposure as well, he would do great things.
All right. I'll do one more. Rafion Super Stotts, your boy Rafion Stotts, versus Nkosi Indebele, South Africa.
Rafion Stotts all day. I'm not saying this because it's my boy, but he is extremely talented. And one thing that really made me start respecting Rafion Stotts was, I think, when he did the Dagestani guy, right? And from conversations with him, like, it really gave him that world of self-confidence. If you beat a Dagestani, you are truly tried and tested, my bro. So
don't sleep on Indebele. Oh, don't sleep on Indebele. All right, let's
find the Dagestanis first.
Let's go. I've got this one: Bokang Masuyane at flyweight versus Manel Cap from Angola. I think Bokang fights in what's that division under flyweight? Is that strawweight?
Whoa. Is that male strawweight?
I don't know. It's below flyweight. Like it's for like very light people. I think that's the one that Bokang fights in one championship. Manel Cap barely makes flyweight. He has missed weight so many times.
He should actually go to bantamweight.
Yeah, what's going on?
All right, so England's victory.
Oh yeah, can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, my
neighbors are drunk.
They've had quite a few pints in it. Um, all right. I think I'm just gonna go through and get. Oh, I've got one final one, and then we call it a do. Christopher Graham says, Jibril, give us your thoughts on your experience at AK04. How was the production? Any fighters we should keep an eye on? I actually have breaking news. Oh. So AK04, that's African Knockout. That's Kamaru Usman's MMA promotion. I was privileged to be in attendance for AKO in Abuja last 2 weeks. I was in Nigeria myself. I spoke about it at the top of the show. This was the first time they were doing it in the capital city of Nigeria, in Abuja, and it was very, very decent. So from a spectator's point of view, or the people watching at home, I cannot see because I was there in working capacity, right? I was trying to get things done, going up and down. But I want to tell you about the talent they have there. There is a fighter from the African Knockout from Kamaru Usman's MMA promotion that just got signed to join Dana White Contender Series, and he's going to be fighting in September.
Wow.
So I'm going to give you, I don't know if you know this person, but I'm going to tell you he's one of the standouts from that show. If at the top of your head, do you remember anybody that you think might be like, that guy's got the quality to fight in America, in UFC?
Wait a moment. Is he one of the Congolese guys?
Yeah, he's one of the Congolese guys.
I can't remember the name, but I feel like it's one of those Congolese guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a fighter from Congo. His name is Josiah Musasa. He is undefeated. He is 7-0, and that guy never sees the judges' scorecard. He's got the ground game. He's got the knockout power. Personally, last year I was in Lagos watching an AKO show, and there was a fight between Josiah Musasa and Diatta from Senegal, and I swear to you, that is the best fight I've ever seen in my life, in attendance, live, in front of my eyes. That guy is incredible. When we put out videos about him and his fights on AKO's platforms, views, millions, bro. That guy is talented. And I cannot wait for him to get to Dana White Contender Series. I cannot wait for him to cross over there. I feel like even if he wins by unanimous decision, they will still sign him. He is that good. Bro, that guy he's built to be a striker. He's got long reach, and he's got incredible powers on those punches, and he's got precision. He hits, he doesn't miss as often, you know. People swing and miss, he swings and bang, bro. Josiah Musasa, I'm not trying to hype him because I'm affiliated with the promotion, but that guy, he's coming. And I'll put you on to him. I'm going to share some clips with you so you would see the person I'm talking about them after the show. And also, I was opportune to interview him and his manager. He speaks French and his manager speaks English, right? And I interviewed them. I recorded it, but something happened and I lost that interview when they went to Egypt to fight, right? So after this event, when I was in Abuja and I met the manager looked at me and said, "Hey, you interviewed a UFC fighter and you did not post it." I was like, dude, well, at that point, I didn't know he was a UFC fighter. He told me that when we interviewed him, they had already done the deal. It's just that they haven't made it public yet. I was like, damn. Anyways, he says there's quite a lot for him if we want to talk, but he can't tell me a lot of things because I work in the media. But anyways, Josiah Musasa from African Knockout Kamaru Usman's promotion is in Dana White Contender Series, and I cannot wait to see it. I swear, you guys wait for it. I just wish that Musasa speaks English. He would love to be on the show. There are other guys from his training camp, Flex and Mulumba. Incredible talents, those guys. Yo, those Congolese, they are levels. They are levels in Africa. Those guys are up here. Yeah, that's it. Christopher Graham wanted me to talk about my experience. It was incredible. There is another AKO show coming in August. I might likely be there, and this time I believe Kamaru Usman is going to be there as well. So, yeah, AKO are really doing something great. The turnout wasn't very good, but it's one of those things where you are in a new market, and we know that MMA fans are not, Nigerians are not really MMA fans as much as people think we are, but they are learning. And the people that came to the show had a fantastic time. They were like knockouts. There was a knockout that I was actually scared that the guy was dead. I swear. Anyways, that's it from me. Thank you. I actually forgot to introduce our boy Bruce Buffer. Bruce Buffer, can you come in here, please? It's already over.
It's time!
Yeah, it's time to go home, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Don't forget, hit the like button. Dems, you got any closing remarks?
Closing remarks. Wow. It's been a great week. Glad to be back. You guys do have a wonderful week ahead. Stay out of drugs. Don't get into trouble.
He said stay out of drugs. What?
Yeah, stay out of drugs, man. Stay out of drugs. You know why? You want to know why? There's a bit up to it. Yesterday, walking into my apartment, like I was just everywhere was just polluted with marijuana smell. I was like, wow, why?
Where did you get marijuana from?
Like people smoking indoors, and like the stench was just everywhere. I'm like, why?
Oh, like your neighbors, your flat neighbors.
Yeah, people were smoking as if weed is going out of passion or something.
Why? You see, this is why sometimes there's people. A lot of people are annoyed with Karens. Me, I don't like Karens too. But sometimes Karens are important. So if you had a Karen in your building, she's going to report them to the police. Right? So that is where she will help your life. So in this case, if you have a Karen living in your apartment building, sometimes when things happen, you would just shoot her a message. Can you believe those guys are smoking again? And she'd be like, not in my building. And then she's going to call the cops. So I think what you need is to have.
I think before, like searching my building, right? And then I was just coming out, and then they saw me, and they were like, "Oh, did you see any kids smoking marijuana?" Yeah, I'm like, "Excuse me, like, I don't smoke. Do you want to come check my house?"
Well,
it's fine. Yeah,
the police or what?
Yeah, the police.
Oh, wow.
Searching everywhere because apparently Karen had actually,
done okay. Yeah, you probably need that Karen's number. And then you can help her pinpoint the location with your nose. Like you go find the place that they are actually smoking, and you go tell her it is flat 507. That is where they are smoking. So she will go and tell the police.
Not in my mouth and yesterday, my teacher don't die.
Oh yeah, now. All right, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us. That's a bit of banter at the end. Peace, love, hugs and kisses. Thank you, and we are.